Do you want to change the quality of your life? I can show you how to do this. I've done it myself. You got to quit thinking you can't do this. Anybody can do this. Real estate has created massive amounts of wealth for people. I have never lost money in 35 years, never lost money in a real estate deal. How to find the right location, how to validate the right location, how to underwrite it, how to know what the rents are, how to get the tenants in. This is not complicated. So I want to teach you guys how to play this game. You deserve to be wealthy. Your family deserves to be wealthy. Your community deserves you to be wealthy. Zero. Do you want to change the quality of your life?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Jarrod right here on the Cardone Zone with another episode of Young Hustlers. Got a great show today talking about something that is very important to me, probably something that's very important to you too. Talking about money. Talking about big money, like wealth money, like money that gives you freedom and choices and options and the ability to do like really cool stuff with your family and your friends and all that. And I'm gonna share with you guys today 3 of the most important money lessons I learned from Grant. And I hope that you guys can kind of take this from the perspective of me having been working with Grant for the last 10 years. I mean, really, I was just trying to figure stuff out the first couple years I worked for him. I'm still trying to figure stuff out now, but like I'm actually putting to work the things that he's talking about. The things every day that he's going over and over and over again talking about, I'm just listening. Like I have no other financial mentor in my life except Grant, because he makes more money than anybody that I know, and I actually have like pretty close proximity and access to him. So I figure, man, I'm just gonna do exactly what this guy tells me to. And I've been doing that for the last 9 years that I've been with him. And it's working out pretty well so far. And so I thought that I would just come in and share, from ground zero, from the front lines, like what all this stuff actually means when it starts being applied in your own life. And hopefully you can look at it through a little different perspective than G550 man. So, I'm just going to dive right in here. One thing that made a huge difference for me was when I started thinking about not making money. I don't want to talk about making money. I want to talk about building wealth, because I think that's ultimately what people want. Like, money's right now problem, but wealth is a thing that will solve every problem for the rest of your life. And one of the most important things that I learned about Grant, just watching him, is his discipline and seeing how he's like people all the time are reaching out to us with new ideas and new things and new this and new that. And, people are reaching out to him with investments. Oh man, it's this % return or this or that. And some of it's just crazy stuff. And he's so disciplined because he's playing a game that he knows the rules for. He can almost guarantee that he's going to make money. And while it may not be the quick overnight score, he's playing a long game. And so that's really my first thing that I started looking at. And for me, the way that played out was, I was working with him. I was making $2,500 a month. I was getting paid 10% residual on every deal that I signed. So what that meant was, if I signed up a customer for $1,500 a month, I made $150 a month on that account. Now, over the course of a 2 or 3 year deal, that adds up. But like that month, when I'm trying to pay my bills, that ain't a lot of money. So like I got to create a lot of activity and do a lot of deals so that the volume of transactions and the size of the book grows enough to where that 10% actually gets me somewhere. And so I'm grinding it out. I slept on an air mattress. Like the first year that I worked for Grant, I slept on an air mattress because I was like not spending money. And if you know a little bit about my story, when I was in my early 20s, I made like, 6-figure money in sales, but blew it all, ended up broke, on unemployment, smoking weed every day. It was a bad situation, but I learned a lot from it. So this kind of second iteration that I had coming through, I'm like, I'm not spending money. Well, the truth is, in the beginning, I didn't have any money to spend, so it was easy not to spend it. But as I started like figuring the sales thing out, and money started, coming in, I remember I made 80 grand my first full year, $86,000, my first full year working for Grant. So I started in September, just got my ass kicked the first 3 months that I was there, almost quit. And then that full year, I made 86 grand that year. And I was still living on the air mattress at the end of that year. But by that point, I had gotten to where every month, month over month, that residual income was increasing, and I just kept packing it away, not buying clothes, not going out spending money on booze, not, running around spending money chasing girls. Like, I was so tight because I was trying to like fix my money situation. And really, I started seeing, probably about midway through that first year, I really started seeing like, oh man, I'm starting to figure this out. I'm starting to get deals more predictably, and my income every month is growing. Not by tons, but by like $400, $500, $1,000 a month. So if I was at a $3,000 a month residual in June, with all my deals that I did in June, if everybody paid in July, my income was at $4,000 a month in residual income, and then $5,000, and then so every month it was increasing by like $1,000 a month. And that was encouraging because I saw this stacking up. And so what happened was I got to a point probably at the end of that, not that first year, but that next year, where I had 100 grand saved up because I had been living so cheap. And when I looked at that 100 grand in the bank, I was like, man, this is great, but I had no idea what to do with it. And it freaked me out because I was like, well, what do I do now? Like, I've got this money sitting in the bank. I've got to the point, probably at that point, where my residuals were like 10 or 12 grand a month. It was starting to maybe 13 grand a month. I don't know. It may have been a little bit more than that. But I remember I was like, okay, so I got to get rid of this 100 grand and put it somewhere so that like I can make money with it. And when you get a little bit of money packed away and you're not playing a long game, that's really what I'm trying to talk about here, is the long game mindset with money. If you don't have a long game mindset, you're going to look for short-term solutions. And I remember 10 years before I started working for Grant, like if I got a little money together, like I was trying to figure out how to take 3 grand or 2 grand and turn it into 20. Like I was chasing all these harebrained things, sold drugs, like, just bad ideas, because you're like, man, I could buy this, flip that, and go from 1,000 to 5,000, or from 1,000 to 2,500, or from 500 to 2,000, and you're like, man, that's a huge score. But it's a short-term solution, and if you want to build wealth, you've got to play long game. So when I wrote that check for 100 grand for the first time into Cardone Capital, I remember being terrified because I had just given up all my money. Like I literally, every penny that I had given up. But I knew that I had that residual that was going to keep coming in. And so like for me, when I made that first investment in Cardone Capital, I was like, okay, well now what? Like, well, I guess I got to do it again. And then so I started like grinding it out again and grinding it out again. And maybe after another 6 months, some cool stuff that happened with the real estate deal. The deal refinanced because in a short period of time, it was worth more than Grant bought it for. He refinanced it. He pulled some equity out, and that 100K that I put in, I got 30 grand back. And by that point, I had another little stack of money, and so I invested that into a second deal. And my point is, that first 100K that I put in was making me $800 a month or something like that. It wasn't a lot of money. And you think of, man, I got to put 100 grand somewhere, and like, I'm not sure if that's worth it. But because I had the long-term mindset, I wasn't looking to go put it in the stock market and trade Forex or do something that required energy, attention, and risk. I just had this, like, I'm just going to keep stacking chips over here, And as I continued to grow and develop, I was all in focused on Cardone training technologies. My income started growing. And I continued to stay disciplined with the money that I was investing into Cardone Capital over and over and over again, month over month, long-term mindset. And so what ended up happening is I turn around and 10 years later, I'm like, man, I got over $2 million invested here. Yeah. I'm 10 or 12 grand a month in passive income. And I'm like, wow. Like looking back now, I'm like, man, if I could have just seen this moment today when I was getting started,
Jarrod's doing good.
When I was getting started, when I wrote that first $100,000 check, I would have had so much more confidence. And so again, I'm just trying to tell you this because I've been through it, the initial kind of getting out of the gates thing more recently than Grant has. And I'm trying to tell you guys that this a long-term mindset. Just how are you going to keep chipping away at the block? Like it's not a get-rich-quick thing. It's a get-rich-for-sure thing. And so that was one of the most important lessons that I learned. So number one money lesson: play the long game. Play the long game. The second thing, they can see it. They can see it. You can get me on the fat one?
That's better, yeah.
You want me to rewrite it?
Yeah.
Everybody say hey to Francisco. Francisco the producer. Okay, what was I saying here? Long game. Long game. Number two was something that I mentioned. This one was the key. Dude, you can't invest money if you spend all your money. Like, you have to have money to invest money. And so after I decided, hey, I'm going to play the long game, I'm going to keep plugging away, I'm going to keep dropping every dollar that I get, I'm going to be dropping into Cardone Capital. And like, I remember I was just telling my trainer Anthony this morning. I was making 13 grand a month or something like that, and I was still sleeping on the air mattress. Like, I was still like not going out and buying clothes, and I was still living like I was broke. I was still paying $800 a month for rent. Like, I didn't go try to chase something that I wasn't trying to prove anything to anybody. I was trying to get myself in a financial position where I was like, man, I feel good about this. If you can stay focused on you and just be like, man, what do I need? What's important to me? And just stay focused on that and not worry about everybody else. Like, the time for cars and houses and all that stuff will come. But like, in the beginning, when you're trying to get this thing rolling, you got to get a long-term mindset and you got to stay broke. And stay broke just doesn't mean like not spending money. Staying broke means getting rid of your money. Like that 100 grand, as soon as I put that 100 grand in a place where I know I couldn't get it back if I needed it, I had to go create new money. Any time in my life where I have a bunch of money packed away, I start thinking just weird stuff. Like, weird stuff starts happening. You start thinking of excuses. You start thinking too creatively about things. Like whenever you have that extra cushion of money, it starts testing you. You know, Grant says that what is it? Money. I forget what it was. Yeah, it's like a jealous lover. It gets bored, right? So like, you have to make sure that your money is constantly putting you in a position where you have to go create more. Like, it's a little bit of a weird juxtaposition, because it's like the thing that provides you with the security is also the thing that will slow you down from chasing the bigger thing. And so that's why I just kept popping money away into Cardone Capital. You could put it anywhere you want. You could put it in whatever type of investment you want. For me, I'm just like, I get checks every month. I have confidence in it. I know that for every 100 grand I have put in, Grant has 10 million put in. So like, I know he's watching his money because I'm close to him and I see how he is about money. And so this stay broke thing isn't just don't spend money. It's get rid of your money into places that are productive. Like, put your money in places where you can access it. Put it in places where like you won't be tempted by it. Put it in places where you're like, man, I got to go get new money. Every single sales guy in our office that's investing in Cardone Capital, when they start getting money stacking up, you could just see something different in their eyes. Myself included. It just provides you with this false sense of security, and that actually will prevent you from leaning in and producing at the levels that you need to in order to continue to grow, to build wealth. So that was huge for me. It takes a lot of discipline to do that, to not follow the temptation of, man, I'm in a $1,200 a month apartment right now. But I signed up for that when I was making $7,000 a month, and now I'm making $15,000 a month. It takes a lot of discipline to stay in that apartment for another year or another year and a half or another 2 years. Thank God I was single through all this, because you bring another person in, you get married, you start having kids, that shit's expensive, man. Like, I was blown away. I was like, God damn, man. Diapers and hair and nails. Like, I'm like, you got to figure out how to pay for this stuff, because I had a plan that I was working here, you know? Like, it's no joke. And so life will come at you, and that's why the sooner you can get started at this, the better off you'll be. I wish I would have gotten started sooner than 26 years old. I wish at 19, at 20, I was watching this video right here from somebody that I could identify with that was like telling me what to do. I didn't have that. And so it took me 6 years of chasing the wrong thing, partying, friends, fun. It took me 6 years of chasing that until I was like, oh man, I need to get serious about this. Because I'd always wanted to make money, but I never really got serious about it to where I was like chasing it, pursuing it. Like, it's whatever it takes. And so if you're under 25 years old or 26 years old and you're watching this right now, man, I plead with you. Like, you have an opportunity before you're 30 years old to be in the most amazing financial position. And if you're over 30 or you're over 26 or whatever and you're watching this, once I got serious, after it took me 4 years to go from literally broke to being a millionaire. With the right information, I'm not super talented, like I didn't do anything out of the ordinary, but I focused on developing my skills so that I could sell and produce more. I was disciplined, and I was playing a long game, I stayed broke. And then the third thing was you gotta get your money working. You gotta get your money working. Like, I was busting my ass. I was working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, Monday through Friday, usually half days on Saturday. But like, I was like grinding, trying to make money. Your money should be working that hard for you. Like, your money should be like, you ought to be punching that clock just like you and going to work. Because that's how you look back and how all this stuff pays off. Because if you're not putting your money to work, if you're not investing anything, if you're not, whether it's Robinhood or whatever, what's that Robinhood app or Lending Club or, well, I don't know, there's a bunch of that stuff out there, Cardone Capital or some other real estate fund or whatever. Like, you got to get your money working. Probably don't put it with like your second cousin's brother's uncle who found this deal that like that kind of stuff you got to watch out for. And again, if you're playing a long game and something's too good to be true, your freaking alarm should be going off. Because anything that sounds too good to be true, you just have to understand that the risk is going to be so much higher on that. So I've had things come along that I wanted to chase too, because it was like a get rich quick thing. And it was like, hey man, you could get 20% on your money in this 12 months or 30% or 40% on your money in 12 months. But there really isn't a whole lot of collateral behind it. There isn't like an asset behind it. It's air. It's basically going to the casino, betting on black and spinning the wheel. And that's not a great strategy for getting rich. It requires a lot of luck. And it requires you have a lot more like risk associated with where you're putting your money, and that creates uncertainty. And then, you don't want to end up in a situation where you grinded your ass off for 2 or 3 years so that you could get 50 or 60 or 70 or 100 grand put away, and then you do something stupid because you're playing a short game rather than a long game, and then you lose all that money and you just blew 3 years. So like, you gotta, like, when Grant said this, it was like a freight train that hit me. He's like, dude, get rich for sure, don't get rich quick. And if you look at the people that got really, really mega wealthy, they committed to one thing. Like, they're committing to building and growing a company that they're gonna take public, or they keep feeding this one thing. Maybe you're flipping houses and they continue to buy and invest in these houses, and that's just the thing that they're doing over and over and over again. Like, you just got to freaking groove into something and follow that. For me, it was, this is the area that I make money. I make money selling stuff over the phone for Grant Cardone. I'm going to learn the job to the best of my abilities. I'm going to continue to refine my skill. If you're not doing the skill piece, then your income isn't going to grow. Because income growth is really the biggest lever that you have when you're trying to make money, when you're trying to build wealth. You can't continue to multiply wealth if you're not continuing to create income. You know, Grant, we're doing a real estate training. Grant's going to go over all this stuff. How to get started in your first deal, how to get some tax advantages that are like insane, where he had deals where he got like 100 million tax free because of the way that a deal was structured and it went down. Like, it's magic. This is how the wealthiest people in the world make money like this. I was like, it's magic, it can't be legal, until I really understood it, and I was like, that's insane. So he's doing a training, grantcardone.com/REI, this Saturday at noon, where he's basically going to go through step by step how he went from like zero to $2 billion in transactions. I'm so interested in how he got started. The first deal he did, the second deal he did, the third deal he did. And I went through we're going through the deck earlier today, and I'm like, this is exactly what I wanted to know, because you guys see the jet, you guys see the cars, you guys see all this stuff. And you're like, where did it all start? And it started with a single family house in Houston. He actually goes through his first 7 deals and how he got rolling. And it took 2 houses to get into his first multifamily deal. And in his first multifamily deal, he made $3 million in like 4 years. So it was like he bought 2 houses in 1 year, owned them for a year, sold them, then bought a multifamily complex. I think it was like 60 units or 30 units or something like that. And dude made $3 million on it. He'll walk through all of this in the trainings. grantcardone.com/REI. It's absolutely free. This is the thing that showed me the light of how to get rich. And so I hope you guys, if you're interested in money, if you're like, man, yeah, I agree with all that stuff, that's how all that stuff works. This piece down here, the money working piece, let's see, where is this? Right here. If you guys click over here, I think over here, right? Over here. Can they click on that? Can they click on it or no? Is it links? They can click it? Yeah, click that. I don't know, depending on where you're at, just go to grantcardone.com/REI and get signed up for this training. My point about income was, as I was going through, what I wanted to see wasn't just the deals Grant was buying. I was like, okay, what's happening professionally for you? And he was making more and more money every year. And so a lot of you think, oh man, I just need to get this deal and then that deal. But at the same time that those deals are working, remember, you're working hard, and your money is working hard as well. Now you've got 2 things working for you. And he kept driving the business, and so his income kept growing. And as his income kept growing, he was able to put more and more money into real estate. And so seeing how those 2 things relate to each other, and seeing the first 5 or 6 deals, I mean, 6 deals, 7 deals in, he's doing deals that are $10 million, $15 million. I mean, it's like literally like that. It happens that fast. It's like one of these where it goes, do boom, and it just takes off. And then I think 6 years after he bought his first deal, he bought a deal for 200 units. Then like another 3 or 4 years later, he was up to 600 units. Like, that's how this stuff multiplies, and it's crazy. And I want you guys to understand it, because for me, I have more security in that money that I get every single month, and in these big, beautiful deals that people have to live in. Like, it's an insane game, and you have to learn it. It's so much more predictable than the stock market. It's so much more predictable than startups. I've invested in both. I've invested in startups. I've invested in the stock market. None of them have been as predictable or given me as much confidence. Frankly, has given me as much return as the money that I've been putting in this slow and steady real estate game over the last 10 years. And so I want you guys to check it out, grantcardone.com/REI. Do we have any callers? I totally forgot to call that out.
Hey, Jarrod.
Hey, what's going on, Nicholas?
Hey, yeah, my name is Nicholas. I live in Fort Lauderdale. I'm 21 years old, and I have a question for you.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Okay, so I live at with my mom and her boyfriend, and I'm looking to move out as soon as possible. because the situation here is very toxic. So I am going to have a financial blessing come into my life. That's about $65,000.
Uh-huh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
And I want to know, I'm moving to Miami Beach. So what do you think is the best way I can move out there, save money, not throw it all away? What do you think?
Yeah, you live in Fort Lauderdale and you're going to move to Miami?
Correct.
Okay. So I would say, number one, 65 grand is no money. So don't think that it's a lot of money, because it's not. If you think that it's a lot of money, you'll start making decisions like you think it's a lot of money. You're going to end up getting an apartment that's too expensive. You're not going to get a roommate, blah, blah, blah. You're going to end up broke again. So what you need to think with is be more focused on how you make money than the 65 grand that you have. So like, what do you do for work right now?
That money would be coming to me off of real estate commission. I'm a full-time real estate agent.
Okay, so you're a full-time real estate agent. Yeah. So like, I would look at how can you become the top broker in the area? How can you make, what'd you make last year in real estate?
Last year, I did not make that much. I made, less than 5,000. So
what changed for you this year? What changed for you this year?
This year, what changed for me is networking a lot, and I've been able to make connections of a lot of people that are looking for, houses, and I've been, I got to connect for a pretty wealthy guy looking to buy a $3 million house. So
that's from one deal. That's from one deal, right?
One deal.
Yeah, so look, let me just tell you something. I remember when I first started selling, I was selling motorcycles at my dad's business. And I remember 1 month, like I was making like 3 or 4 grand, maybe 5 grand at the most in a month. And I remember 1 month, I crushed it. We had all these spiffs and I sold all this stuff that was like crazy commissions. And I made 11 grand. This is how stupid I was. I made 11 grand. I went to the BMW dealership. I was telling Ryan this story the other day. This was when the newer body style M3 had just come out, and it had this Tiptronic shift system, SMG or something like that. I forget what it was.
Yeah.
But it was like this. It was a $75,000 car. I had one good month. And I was looking at this car, and I remember I went home to my mom, and she's like, if you come home with that car, you're going to move out, and you're going to have to get your own place because you cannot afford it. It's a stupid idea. You're being ridiculous, and I will not support this at all. And so I ended up not buying it. Thank God. Next month, I made 4 grand again.
Yeah.
So like what you need to do is you need to figure out how to get like predictable income from your real estate deal. That 65 grand should just be like, it's not even there. You right now, based on from what I'm hearing, you made 5 grand last year. So far, you don't make anything else. You made 65 grand. 65 grand in Miami is not a lot of money. So you need to get a place with a roommate where you're paying between $800 and $1,200 a month for rent. And you need to freaking go like eat beans, rice, and chicken. Like you need to go like cheap, bro. And you need to keep networking, and you need to keep cranking in a real estate business, and you need to make 250 grand this year. Still live like you're broke, put all that away, and then go out, and then the following year is where you make like your big move, and you can maybe upgrade a little bit. But you need to get to the point where you got, I remember when I got 100 grand in the bank, I was like, it gave me confidence. I'm like, I can make money, I can stay broke, I can keep money, and then I have confidence now to invest that money. So you put all those things together, dude, you'll be in good shape. Who's next?
Ryle in Missouri.
Ryle? Ryo, like Street Fighter?
Ryle? Ryle.
Ryle, like let's get Ryle?
You got it.
All right.
In Missouri.
What's going on, Ryle?
Hey, not a lot. Who am I speaking with?
This is Jarrod. Is it Ryle or Kyle?
No, it's like Kyle, but with an L. Lyle.
Lyle. Come on, guys. God, my studio guys here are insane. These are professionals, too. Lyle, what's your question, brother?
All right, Jarrod. So, kind of give you a real quick overview of what I've got going on. I'm in acquiring rental properties. They're all single-family dwelling. And my question is, how do I scale to multifamily? How do I scale to larger apartment complexes without the help of investors outside of like banking and things like that?
Well, the number one thing I would tell you to do, like without a doubt, is show up Saturday at noon to this live training. GrantCardone.com/REI. Grant's going to cover how to buy deals with no money down. He's going to talk about how to go to the banks. He's going to talk about how to find deals. He'll literally go online live during the training and he'll pull up deals that are in your area. He'll pull up deals and just go, here's how you want to buy this deal. Here's how you want to underwrite this deal to make sure that everything pencils out the way that it should. Like he'll go over everything.
Perfect.
So
definitely, I'm going to do that. Give me again the link to that.
GrantCardone.com/R as in Ryan, E as in expenses, I as in income.
Got it.
REI. GrantCardone.com/REI. It's going to be probably 2.5 hours, where he's going to cover all of this.
Perfect.
That's going to be the best place for you to get the answer to your question.
Sounds good. I'll be on there.
All right, brother. We'll see you Saturday. Thanks for the call.
Thanks. See ya.
Next.
JB in the Bahamas.
JB in the Bahamas. JB, what's going on, man?
Hey, Jarrod, what's going on?
What's going on, man? You in the Bahamas?
Yeah, man, calling all the way from the Bahamas.
I love it, bro. What's your question?
All right, so I changed my question because then I'm actually recording this right now as well. So my question is actually want to use this actually to motivate other people and actually listen to you guys as well. If you were 18 or 20 years old, still living with your mom, probably making $250 a week, what would you do?
I'd find a way to make more money, man.
What would you do?
Well, see, again, what happens is people will use the safety and security of living at home with mom and dad with no bills. The people, when they get in an environment like that, they start making sense of what they're getting. That's why Grant always says, dude, if you live with your parents and you're over 18 years old, you need to move out. It's a form of staying broke. Staying broke is a mental situation that you have to figure out, where you're like, man, I got to go produce and create. I got to make more money. And so you got to get to $2,000 a week as fast as possible. So you either got to work backwards in the math to get from the $200 a week you're making to $2,000, and if you can't do it, then you need to go find something else. That's why sales always ends up a role. You're either selling for another company, maybe you start a marketing agency. A lot of people are making money doing marketing services and things like that online. Amazon. There's a ton of home-based online businesses that you can do to make money, but you have to get in a position where your production and the proficiency that you have in your ability to produce something gives you money, because that's when you actually have some control. You start getting control over the outcome of what you're doing. If me and Nate show up and we do the same job, and we're both getting paid a $35,000 a year salary, but I'm way better than Nate is, then I have to find out if the company that I work for is willing to pay me more, or if I need to go somewhere else. Because if I'm twice as good as Nate is at his job, then I should be compensated for more. And the problem is most people get into roles where they're getting paid salaries, or they're paid hourly or something like that. They think that's security and safety. But the truth is that's a trap. It's a trap to get you lumped into a group of people where you could have more talent, you could be more advanced, you could have better attitude, you could contribute more, and you're getting paid the same as everybody else. And if you don't move out of a situation like that, you'll start resenting the situation that you're in, or you're gonna start actually taking yourself down. Like you will actually, like, you know, people say you're a product of your environment. Like if you don't have the ability to expel yourself from that environment, then what happens is you're going to become a part of that environment. And you will actually, if you have a $100,000 or $200,000 mindset and you're surrounded by people that have a $50,000 mindset, you're actually going to start bringing yourself down because of the people you surrounded yourself with. So like number one thing is you need to find something that you can make $2,000 a week doing rather than 250, because until you start making real money, you know, none of this stuff is going to come into play for you. Like you got to learn how to make money before you could learn how to build wealth, because you can't build wealth unless you have $1 to put into the machine. And so that's why Cardone University is a great place for a lot of people to get started, because they're just trying to figure out, hey, how do I go from making $250 a week to $500 a week? And the truth is you have to get better at the job that you do, or you have to produce more, or you have to start a side hustle or a network marketing company or something like that. Like you've got to do something to where, like, dude, just imagine this. Imagine you work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for a year, right? And you make $40,000 a year for that work. And then you get a side hustle, and your first week, or your second week in your side hustle, you make $1,000. You're like, shit, man, I made $1,000 doing this thing on the side. It's the same amount of money I made in my primary gig. Like that's the kind of move that creates a level of excitement for you to get like, oh man, dude, when I leave this place at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, I'm going home and I'm putting more time into there. Problem that people make when they get to that point is then they just say, hey, I'm going to bail on this primary thing and just chase this secondary flow. And they bail too soon. So you can't violate the second flow rule, which is, dude, you got to have one flow so stable and secure that it can't be destroyed. And then you got to build that second flow up without diminishing the first flow and get that to a point where it exceeds your primary flow to the degree that you could start a third flow, or something where you have to make a decision, hey, now I'm going to bail out on the first thing and go all in on this second thing because the upside opportunity is so much greater. It all comes down to just finding a way to produce energy and creativity that you get a monetary exchange with. And it's the simplest thing in the world. Like looking back, it's almost impossible for people to see until they get on the other side of it. But like once you actually figure it out, like, oh wow, hey, I can go work a little bit harder, train a little bit more, work a little bit longer, and make twice the amount of money as everybody else that I'm working with. And that's when the game starts. Like that's why our sales guys come in and they work 6 days a week. That's why they are up at 5:30 in the morning doing training, going to the gym, coming into the office early, drilling and role playing every single day, because they see in practice the outcome of the work that they put in. They're like, man, I was making $100,000 a year at the place I'm at before. Now I'm making 200, and all I'm doing is I'm waking up a little bit earlier, staying a little bit later, and I come in for 4 hours, 3 hours on Saturday. Is that worth an extra 100 or 150 grand a year? Yep. So like, you got to get this money thing figured out. And a lot of times people don't have the right motivation about money. Grant and I were talking about this yesterday. We were talking about this formula to take more action. So if action is the thing that you want to take more of in any area, if action is the thing you want to take more of in a relationship, with your finances, with your health, because action's the thing that you actually do. So action would be, I'm going to the gym and doing the work. Action would be, I'm staying extra hours to do more work so that I can make more money. Action is, I'm doing the things that I know will help me and my wife have a better relationship, right? So if action is the thing that you want, you have to move kind of backwards to figure out where to start. So motivation, this is the thing that will inspire the action. So what is your motivation? Well, if my motivation for making more money is to pay bills, good, that's your motivation. If your motivation isn't big enough, you won't take action. My motivation for coming to work and grinding and making money is I want to be entirely financially free to the degree that my passive income funds my entire lifestyle and creates surplus money for me to continue invest. So it creates this flywheel where now I could not work if I wanted to. All my expenses are paid for, and I have money on top of that to continue to invest. So now you have a system. It just runs, and it will exponentially increase without me having to create any new money. Okay? That's exciting for me. That's like the most motivating thing in the world. I'm like, that's the money machine right there. That's like the ATM that's spitting money out and you're just sitting there catching it, right? That shit's exciting. So that's my motivation. Now, in order to move from motivation into action, prior to motivation, something has to happen to create and inspire the motivation. And when I look back and go through it, and Grant and I were talking about this, confidence is really the thing that gets you motivated. Like when I'm skilled up, when I know that I can get on a phone call with somebody and I can handle the call, when I know that that I'm going to be a good father, like when I know that I've taken time to read a relationship book or something like that, now I know that I know I'm equipped to be a better husband, or I've got this new idea on this date night we can do, or whatever it is. Confidence inspires motivation. So like if I don't have confidence in my ability to deliver a seminar on mathematics, there's no way I'm taking action. And I'm definitely not going to be motivated because I got no confidence in my ability to do it. Think about all of the things in life that you have no confidence in. If you don't have confidence right now in your ability to make money, it's going to be hard for you to get motivated. Would you agree with that? If I don't have confidence in my ability to fly this airplane, dude, I'm not going to get in the driver's seat and hit the start button if that's how you do it. Right? Like confidence is the thing that moves you into motivation. So what is it that inspires confidence? This formula right here changed everything for me. So what is it that inspires confidence? Knowing. Knowing is the thing that inspires confidence or knowledge. If you knew the numbers that were going to be picked in the lottery tomorrow night, would you buy a ticket? Hell yeah, I would. You move through this fast. You go from, hey, if I know the numbers, dude, I got confidence, I'm excited now, I'm going to go buy a ticket. In a really crude way, that's how this works. If I know everything there is to know about math and somebody says, hey, you got to go deliver a seminar in front of 3,000 people, I'm like, yeah, I know my shit. Get me on stage. I'm going to do it, and then I go deliver it. You want to make money? Dude, what are you missing about money? You hear everybody talking about, oh, make money in real estate. Dude, if you know nothing about real estate, you will not have confidence with it. Therefore, you will not be motivated to take action, and therefore you won't. This is simple. Most of the stuff I talk about is simple because I'm a simple person. I'm not an intellectual. There's a reason it took me 7 years to graduate college, because I'm a simple person. I got to read stuff a few times too to make sure that I understand it, because I don't always get it the first time. In fact, most never get it right the first time. So you just got to figure out, dude, what knowledge are you missing? If you want to make more than $250 a week, dude, what are you missing? There's knowledge and information that you do not know yet. I'm telling you right now, if you want to make more money, you have to get in a position where your production determines how much money you make. If you want to make big money, you have to do that. Everybody in our office that isn't in a position where sales is their job, we give them an opportunity to make more money. Because how could they be happy and satisfied here if they knew that they were just on the hamster wheel? We're like, dude, sell some tickets. Dude, you could sell one ticket and make $1,000. You could sell a ticket and make $100. You could sell something and make something. We're trying to give them, because money is important, we talk about it a lot in our office, we're trying to give people opportunities to make more money. Because some jobs are only worth so much money. And if you're making $250 a week, you may be in a job that's only worth $250 a week. And so now you got to figure out, how am I going to add to the flow? So for me, the first thing that I had to get knowledge about was sales. Once I got knowledge about sales, I knew how to make money. Then I started making a ton of calls, and working 6 days a week, 12 hours was not a problem. Like, I was confident because I'm like, dude, I know what I'm doing. When I show up, I'm getting paid. Like, I'm like, man, I walked out from days going, man, I made $5,000 a day. I made $3,000 a day. You add up a $4,000 a month training contract over 3 years, man, that's a $15,000 commission for you. I'm like, damn, dude, I'm getting paid right now. So I was excited about it. And then I ran into something else that I didn't know about, which was what to do with my money when I get enough in the bank that I got to start paying attention to it. Well, I got to go back through the cycle again. I need to move into investment action. But what do I need before I can do that? Dude, I got to learn something about it. And so I'm sitting here, I'm watching Grant, I'm learning about how this real estate thing works. I'm hearing about mailbox money and passive income and tax benefits, and I'm starting to get interested in all this. He's kind of helping me understand it a little bit. And then I had to make a decision. I'm like, man, I can go do this all on my own, run into a bunch more things that I need to learn about so that I have confidence and I'll move into action. Or I can just toss my money with him. I opted for the latter because I'm not a good learner. Remember the college thing? It takes me too long to learn. So, like, I'm telling you, just do this. If you're watching this right now, go to grantcardone.com/REI. Sign up for this free training on how to invest in real estate. It will give you so much confidence that you will have motivation. You can move into action and you can start buying deals. Grant will show you how to buy deals with no money. Grant will show you how to get money from other people. Like, he's going to break it all down for you so that you have more confidence and you can be more motivated and you can move into action. Most people don't take action because something is broken in this formula. So which is it for you? You want to figure out how to play a bigger game? Dude, learn about investing in real estate. It was magic for me. You want to figure out how to go from $250 a week to $500 a week? Go to CardoneUniversity.com, CardoneU.com/free. I don't think we're promoting that anywhere. That's something for you guys here. CardoneU.com/free. Get a free trial. 14 days. Get in there, educate yourself. Like figure out the knowledge thing. Confidence, motivation, and action will follow. Guys, this is the Young Hustler show that you need to go back and rewatch again and again and again. Money is not a complicated thing. Do not overcomplicate it. It's a simple thing. And when you don't know something, you need to reach out for help and you need to learn about it. So join us for our webinar Saturday, noon East Coast Standard Time, grantcardone.com/REI, grantcardone.com/REI. It's going to be insane. I'm super excited about it. Please join us, because if you can get the confidence that I have about the money that I'm investing, man, like, if we could just get everybody that follows us that confident, like, look at Grant, dude. He's got bulletproof confidence in real estate. He's like, I guarantee I'm not going to lose money on this deal. I want to have that type of confidence in the money that I'm investing, and I think you do too. So thanks so much for being here this week. Remember, the only people who condemn the hustle are the ones who've given up on the hustle themselves. We'll see you next week.
Do you want to change the quality of your life? I can show you how to do this. I've done it myself. You got to quit thinking you can't do this. Anybody can do this. Real estate has created massive amounts of wealth for people. I have never lost money in 35 years, never lost money in a real estate deal. How to find the right location, how to validate the right location, how to underwrite it, how to know what the rents are, how to get the tenants in. This is not complicated. So I want to teach you guys how to play this game. You deserve to be wealthy. Your family deserves to be wealthy. Your community deserves you to be wealthy. Zero.